Yo, what is good, people? What is good? Welcome to iHub Boxing. This is not Ricco. What's good, Ra? Or is he frozen? You back with us?
Oh, good evening.
There we go.
Sod's Law. There was a bit of technicalities. Before we start, Ray, welcome. In case anyone doesn't know, you're an alternative R. Blessings to Ricco. Poor boy's a bit unwell. I don't know if it's because I told him what the topic of discussion is going to be and he felt sick. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was the being ringside on Sunday night. That was emotionally draining. Fortunately, we got some awesome outfits to get us to feel better. Look at this. D-Rock. Oh, yeah. Wear this. You're going to want to touch yourself. Boys and girls are going to want to touch you. So, viewers, if you go over to D-Rock's website, use the iBoxingHub 24 discount code. You can look like these smooth guys. Not just Parker and Johnny Nelson, but us two smooth guys. We know you're ex-male model. Is that right, Ray?
I don't know if I'm a model, but you know, I'll model it for the team, for the crew. So you see it, D-Rock, nice fit. You see it's nice, snug and fit, not too loose, not too tight, just right.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm flattered you dressed up for me tonight. Yeah, I wanted to do something different tonight. But big up Jams. Jams, don't worry, Ricco's just a little bit unwell. So Ray's stepping in.
For a substitute R, you know, all good.
You
He'll
know,
be back
Ray
very soon.
in place of Ricco, yeah. Don't worry, we'll be still giving you some good boxing insight, hopefully. And later on, viewers, we'll be inviting any of you who want to come in and give us your 2 cents. Ray, were you watching it? Easter Sunday, biggest domestic card of the year.
Indeed, I was. Indeed, I was. Very surprised. Very good event. Exceeded a lot of people's expectation, not just mine. And then, but yeah, no, very, very much enjoyable. Brought back big British boxing, which I feel like they restored a feeling that hasn't been there for a while. So, you know, we've had our criticism of Ben Shalom, but full credits to boxer on the weekend.
Yeah, indeed. We'll lay off the criticism for the next few minutes, but don't worry, we're coming back to that. Yeah, I won't ask you to analyze the fights themselves because I know you and Abbas already did that a couple of days ago. Obviously, Chris and BNG have analyzed it, so I don't think we need to go over old ground in terms of analyzing the fights. What I do want to ask you, though, about all of the fighters on that card is what next? In the aftermath of a fight, then you can look at where they go. Starting with the bottom of the card, that real fun heavyweight fight, Babbage and Robinson. I'm in two minds as to whether these guys are really as bad as a lot of the fans and critics say. I mean, starting with Steve Robinson, I mean, he took a hellacious pounding.
Yeah.
I don't get this guy. I mean, me and Ricco, we both like the guy right from the early days. He gave us a lot of time. He's an ex-England Team GB member in the amateurs. But the way he fights as a pro, it doesn't look like, you know, he doesn't make use of his attributes. What do you make of him?
Sometimes that whole, how long ago was he in the GB squad though? Was he with the class of Chef Clark, or was he the 2016 squad with Boatsy and Okoli?
I guess it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, so that'd be Okoli and Boatsy then.
I guess so. I mean, he didn't go to the Olympics. I think when I say he was on Team GB, you know, they invite a whole load of guys.
Okay, I get you. Yeah,
he was in the Team GB training camp, but as an amateur, he did get pretty far in the amateurs. Big up BNG. Yeah, but as a pro, he just I mean, at his height, you'd think do the sensible thing, get behind your jab, keep this brawler at range. Nothing, just blocking face.
Sometimes people in the amateur ranks just don't translate to the pros. I was gonna name a famous British guy that happened to, but out of respect, I won't, because I know he's active on socials as well. But yeah, the guy that formerly faced David Hay, he remember, he was great amateur, great Olympic hopeful. And then when it came to bros, he just couldn't, jump that hurdle. And I feel like sometimes it's inexplainable of like how, just like, why can't you jump that hurdle? We know the ability you've got. Sometimes it might be a case of, the lights are too bright. Sometimes it's just you hit a brick wall and you'll see that's your ceiling. So maybe it is just his ceiling, and obviously because you have high hopes for him, you think that he's gonna jump that hurdle, but the game is the game.
Yeah. If you were advising someone like Steve, what would you do? Because I said this to him that, he's a bit of a late starter, but because heavyweights can go on longer and peak later, he could have done with another year of just journeyman / trial horses. Not journeyman that will just fall over, but maybe guys like that Dobvishenko guy, the sort that are good enough to beat you if you're not on point. But if you are on point, you should get through him. He could have done with another year of those.
I think it just depends. What does he want from the game? Because sometimes there are people that, as crazy as it is, despite the wins and losses, they're just in it for the thrill. And maybe he's one of those people who's just like, listen, I get to get my thrill out of life out of this, whether I win or lose. I'm not really aiming to go to the top. I'm just fighting for fight's sake. It brings me joy. And sometimes you just have to be like, do you know what? Fair enough. And that might just be the case for him.
Fair play to him. What about Babic then? I mean, it's remarkable. He's had a world title fight. Again, he says he's going to carry on campaigning at heavyweight, and clearly, I mean, he can deal with big lumbering heavyweights, at least up to a certain level. I still don't know what to make of him in terms of his level. Again, he's another guy that had a good amateur. Well, I wouldn't say an amateur pedigree, but he had a lot of amateur fights. But then he goes in there and just brawls, and that's it.
Lovely, loves a tear up, isn't it? I think Babic probably going to go. Sorry,
how far can Babic go?
Bridgerweight. He probably wants that Bridgerweight title again. He's going to go for it. So I guess that's just his future. Correct me if I'm wrong. Lawrence Okoli, his next fight in Poland, is that going to be at cruiserweight or Bridgerweight?
That's at Bridgerweight. And incidentally, for any viewers, my flights to Poland, Rzeszów, I think that's how you pronounce the town's name, are booked.
Okay.
So there's going to be one of us covering that show.
Nice.
Just to be having a flex there. I do love my weekends away. But yeah, I mean, I did mention this to Babic. I said, look, Lawrence, if Lawrence comes away with the belt, stylistically, Lawrence, he's not someone that likes to be pressured. That's why he's got such a bad reputation for clinching. So, I mean, could Babic give him a bit of a nightmare if they were to fight?
I think it sets up a good, because I know that obviously Okoli saying he wants to go heavyweight. Babic, is Babic and Dillian White still working together?
Yeah, I asked him about that. Dillian's still his manager. So
Lawrence Okoli might be angling towards that, where he's like, all right, let me go face Babic. Then I can call out Dillian straight off of that, and hopefully Dillian bites the bait. Even though, Joseph Parker wants that Dillian fight as well. So for someone that's just come back from a ban or had his ban lifted after passing everything, he seems to be quite popular. So that might be a shot where Lawrence Okoli goes, all right, cool, to build up going towards Dillian White, let me go for his guy. If I can get through Babic, then I mean Babic and Okoli, with Babic being a fun, reckless fighter, it might make people on the stomach Okoli a bit more off of the that last display that he showed, which had people just being like just shunning him basically. I think he's probably got worse blowback from this than from when he first Chamberlain.
Yeah. I mean, the fight with CBS, to all intents and purposes, was atrocious. Although me and Ricco were there, when you're actually watching it live and you're absorbed in the atmosphere, because of course there was a great atmosphere with CBS's hometown fans, it doesn't seem as bad. But I can imagine watching it on TV must have been.
It was just a Coley. He reverted back to type, but is a terrible type to have. And two, it was just a case of being his own worst enemy. Yeah, that's it. That must have felt like, when you're in the nightmare and you're trying to hit something and you just feel like you can't. That's what it looked like how Coley was fighting. Like he was just struggling to hit a guy clean in his nightmare, and he was just waiting for it to end.
Jams asks, would you like the White v Parker rematch, or do you think Parker is levels ahead? I think White certainly needs a more meaningful tune-up before. I mean, I think Parker has come on no end, and yes, I don't know about levels, but he's considerably ahead.
I'll say levels at this point. This new Parker that we're seeing, the one that beat Zhang and the one that beat Wilder, I think he's just on a revenge tour right now of Zhang, Wilder, and I think because maybe he felt at the time that White shouldn't have beaten him, he's probably thinking White still has enough of a name. And to be fair, he's just doing a waiting game with the other heavyweights. So White might be just thinking, Parker might just be thinking White is a big enough name to get a Saudi bag. And that's a nice Saudi check right there.
Yeah. I mean, we know they do like these big heavyweight names.
Yeah.
But back to Sunday night. Of course, Ben Whittaker again, splitting opinions. Straight away, people are saying, you've got the Jones Jr. moves without the Jones Jr. reflexes and, more significantly, punch power. Again, I think it's too soon to write off his punch power because I don't think we know how tough Leon Willings is yet. And I think Willings himself, I would like to see him get an opportunity against Summers, the English champ. I want to see how good Willings is because it could just be that he's actually a lot better than we realise. As for Ben Whittaker, I mean, the guy he beat in the Olympics, Katayev, is fighting Bolotniks. So they've been a pro for the same length of time and had roughly the same amount of fights. Katayev's based down there in Australia, where there's presumably less depth of opposition for them to dig up for him. And yet there he is fighting Bolotniks. I mean, surely he's got to go in now, jump several levels. I mean, this isn't doing him any good, is it?
I'm surprised that they haven't got him fighting for the British heavyweight title yet. That's my only thing I'm confused about. Is he's shown, all right, he's had his way of just beating people that he's needed to beat. What is he, 6-0 now?
I think that's 7-0, wasn't it?
Yeah. 7-0. Now is all right, cool. Let's get him to proper British level. Obviously, I think the Leon fight was good because sometimes you do need to get those rounds in where, you can't just knock a man out. And maybe Leon is in a case of he's either got a good chin or, like you said, we haven't been proven yet whether Ben's got knockout power or not. But you know what it is as well. He's polarizing, so people are just finding an excuse to hate him. I was at the pub watching the fight, and then with my group of friends, one friend doesn't casual as a casual could be, rarely watches boxing. He's only there watching the boxing because at the pub. Same way, he's seen Ben's entrance and he goes, I don't like him. And then me and my other friend, there was two of us that were actual boxing fans, and we was just laughing because we were just that's how he is. He's just polarizing. Obviously, some people like the flashy stuff, some people don't, but they care. And that's the most important.
Yeah. It's interesting, that, I don't know if you've been seeing what he's saying on social media, hints that he's fed up with Boxer. I know he did an interview about that heckler he got at the press conference, Ezra Adonekia. Incidentally, if you go over to Punchout Boxing, you can see my interview with Ezra. Fantastic young man. He's studying for a PhD whilst being a pro boxer. So kudos to him. You've got to admire the hustle. But Ben was saying that he thinks Boxer set that up. So I don't know. Is he now looking to cut the umbilical cord there? I'll tell you what, though. Given that Willings was able to hit him, and we know at Matchroom, which is where people think he might want to go, because we know Eddie pushes, those sort of flamboyant personalities more. But with it, we know Eddie's ruthless. He expects his top prospects to move quick, and he'll throw you in deep. And if you're not willing to get thrown in deep, he'll sideline you. Just ask Joshua Buatsi. So if Ben has not ironed out, if Ben hasn't ironed out defensive problems and he goes over to Matchroom, he could find himself in a really dangerous fight before he's ready. So, again, with Ben, great talent, but again, I don't know what to make of him as to what he's actually ready for, and the matchmaking just ain't been good enough.
I think, there's that. I don't understand why he's not been fighting British level. That's my only thing. Like, why isn't it that he's been, around that time? Because I think how they done Dan Aziz is how they should be doing Ben Whittaker, just with more flash because he's more marketable. No offense to Aziz, because I've been a big supporter for him for a while. But I feel like how they handle Dan Aziz should be similar to how they handle Whittaker. Now take the training wheels off, the names there. Let's get him fighting proper British level, because obviously before it was just more like showcase fights. Now let's get him a title. I think it'll make him more palatable to the fans to see him actually get the British title as well. But it also might be a case of, if they know the contract's nearly up and Ben's not happy with them, they might just say, we're not going to book you favorably now. We are not going to try to book you to make you look like some star until you re-sign. Or if you don't re-sign, then we're just going to keep on putting you in there with people that's not your level to make you look bad.
Interesting point. We don't know what's going on behind the backgrounds with negotiations. You're absolutely right. Maybe Boxer are trying to get him, look, extend your contract, and he's saying thanks but no thanks, and maybe that's why they're almost setting him up to not fail, but they're not going to invest as much in him, because good quality opponents don't come cheap. So, all right, well, let's see. I personally would like to see him fight the winner of Santos against Shakan Pitters. They're fighting for the European title.
Go on, Shakan.
Yeah, in Telford, May the 3rd, according to the EBU website.
Who's going to be the promoter for that one?
I think it's a Wasserman show. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
That's a good fight, and like I said, for Whittaker, I think he's going to have to jump into that. Well, even though winning the European title can lead you into some very dangerous roads, as we shall come to shortly. But I think the last fight I want to talk about, I don't think we need to go into the headliner Clark and Walker, because I think it's been discussed to death. But Marku and Congo, what a fight. Congo came through. I was surprised, because I thought the A side would get A side favors. Again, interesting for me. Marku, serious question marks as where does he go? Because to me, he just does not look like he's got anything special about him. And as for Chris, should he go down the European route now? I think I can't remember who that. There's a couple of real duff guys duking it out for the European title.
I believe, if I'm correct, he was on Sky Sports News with when Chamberlain was promoting, obviously his fight with his potential fight with Vidal.
Yeah.
Congo was right next to him, and I believe he was calling out the European champion. I think that would be a good route for him because it's still, people are still trying to decipher what level he is. I still don't think he's fighting to his best of his capabilities. How he started the fight was frustrating me. I think with him, I look at him, I'm just like, you're such a rangy guy. Utilize it more. Like you let Marku get in close too many times. Obviously, as the fight went on, he did start to utilize it. But I feel like sometimes it's just like, don't be in there looking for a scrap. Utilize your gifts. Do you get what I'm saying? And so I feel like Congo still needs certain things to iron out before he goes to world level. So I think European title would be perfect for him. And hopefully he gets that and he can build on the momentum from there.
Yeah, that would be the appropriate thing for him. Yeah, I like Chris. Glad that he's finally got that big win under his belt. And I can see him going from strength to strength now that he's got over that hurdle of winning the big fight on the big stage, especially with guys like Ben Davison and Bazza Smith, regular on our show, incidentally. Yeah, with them guiding him, I think he'll do really well from here. In a tough division, though, God, welterweight.
Sure.
Yeah, what about Marku though? Like I said, where does he go? He doesn't look much beyond English level, does he? Or is this? I mean, I don't claim I've got a great eye for fighters' abilities. That ain't where my knowledge in boxing is.
Yeah.
But from you, do you see anything in him?
Not really, but obviously it's a case of he's still marketable. He's got a big market behind him. There is a fight out there. I feel so sorry for this guy because he's in the business of people don't really pay attention, and that's McKinson. And I don't know if Marku's thinking to himself, would I take the McKinson fight just to be like, decent level guy, but at the same time, that's a very tricky opponent. It's almost like how Boo Boo Andrade was like at middleweight, then super middleweight, where it's just kind of like the risk and reward in fighting you is not a good ratio. So I don't know if that's the case. Whereas Marku, he might be able to go back to Albania and, have one or two fights, make himself look good, come back, and then, get that little bit of juice left out of like his big following. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What do you think?
I think you're right. I mean, look, he's 30, 31. The fact that he's disappeared after that defeat, and he was apparently, Chris was saying in the interview that he was real sour in the changing rooms.
Oh, for sure. It was always going to be bitter between them two.
Yeah, I can see this psychologically hitting him really, really hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like you said, he's hugely marketable, but I mean, you still need to move a fighter along, even if it is carefully. And at welterweight, there is no careful routes. Like you said, there's either killers if you're trying to get towards world level, or even around the fringe and European level. You got the guys like your McKinsons, and I mean McKinson will do the same that Chris did to him. I think he'll just confidently outbox him. I just think he's started too late. He doesn't have great punching power, despite what he thought he had. He ain't high volume. He ain't even got a great chin. I mean, he was lucky not to have got stopped when he fought that Mexican guy back in Albania. He's been dropped by Ryland Charlton. He's got a draw against Jamie Stewart, who's sort of area level. And yes, I know he should arguably have got the decision, but if you've got aspirations of world level, you got to be getting area level guys out. You got to be blitzing them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Hey, listen, I'm not hating on Marku. I'm sure he's a great guy and he loves his boxing. So I would say his best bet is to, again, if the promoters are willing to back him, just keep feeding him sort of European opponents who've got a padded record. maybe
Yeah.
from countries like where there ain't the standard ain't as high. Yeah. So
Oh, I'd say I'd definitely agree with you there. Like I said, it's just about him now. Is about how do you cash out, knowing that you're not the big money guy.
mhm.
So that might be the case of, yeah, get some padded record guys. Then, like I said, you might want to face someone like a McKinson just to like see if you are going to jump over that hurdle. And if you don't, then you just say, do you know what? It's been real. I'm out and bow out gracefully.
Yeah. All right. But you mentioned there a few European title fights for Congo, and you mentioned the back and forth between Isaac and Vidal Riley, which segues nicely in.
Oh, we frozen on my side or his side?
Sorry, you still with me?
Oh, yep, yep, yep. Was that me freezing or you freezing? Oh, we back, we back.
Sorry, you still with me? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, all good, all
Okay.
good. I don't know if it was frozen on my side or your side. That's why I was like wondering.
I
Are
think
we
it was
all
my
good?
side. So
Ah,
apologies.
no worries, no worries, no worries.
Yeah. Right. Listen, one thing that's become evident from this weekend, being out there, the shenanigans, this side and the other side of the Atlantic, the ducks are all in rows. Yeah,
Listen, man.
ducks galore. I mean, we'll start with the big one. I mean, that farcical, absolute farce of a charade they put on with Adam Azim and Harlem Eubank. I mean, it's just shambolic. Like, they got them in the ring to announce that they're discussing the fight, and to all intents and purposes, the fight ain't even signed and sealed. Yeah, apparently Adam Azim's agreed to it.
Yeah.
Harlem Eubank's team haven't come out and said anything. His promoters, Wasserman, I've got an inside source. Yeah. When you've been doing this for a while, you get to know people.
Yeah.
Not flexing or nothing. It's just natural. You work in any industry, you get to know people.
Is what it is. Build up the
And
links.
someone tells me that there could be issues about actually getting that fight over the line. Don't get it twisted. I think it will get over the line. But it's like the shambolicness of it. So people are coming out in force, including my own beloved Ricco, who's unwell today. Maybe he's unwell because he knew I was going to bring this recovery up. Actually sticking up for Adam. And don't get it twisted. I like Adam. Great kid. I'm sure he'll have a great career. But let's not beat around the bush. This is a duck. This is a duck. And, I don't know if you've seen some of my shows. I've got a list. It's called the Unforgiven List. Metal fans will know. I love that song, Unforgiven by Metallica. For me, one of the most unforgivable things a fighter can do is you get to a certain level. And then, if you're a champion, you're mandated for a fight, or you're a contender and you're mandated for a fight, and you don't take it. That's what Adam's done.
This is where it gets tricky. I don't fully disagree with the route they've gone down. However, they talked big talk beforehand and even said that, Eddie, why are you doing this? You're not going to make this fight. And that's why it looks bad on Adam and Boxer, because they tried to call Eddie's bluff and Eddie was just there waiting like, no, let's make it. If you want to make it, let's make it. And then as soon as it was possible to be made, they dropped the belt, which is the story of Boxer, whether it comes to their cruiserweights, whether I'm sure there's other Boxer fighters in mind where it's just like Ben keeps on hyping these people up. And then after it comes down to, purse bids or just situations where let's make the fight happen. and then the fight doesn't happen, and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's on Matchroom, yeah, it's on Queensbury," and it's just like you can't.
Don't you think Boxer and Ben Shalom, they're
Common
just utterly
denominator.
clueless about building a narrative. Yeah, I mean, for a start, it was a big mistake moving Adam into that to get that low-hanging fruit, the EBU title,
Do you
not
think?
realizing that, well, you get that title, it comes with obligations.
Yeah, true.
And
Yeah.
in a division as stacked as 140, one of these contenders that's going to be, put in front of you is going to be someone dangerous, or in this case, someone better. Big up,
Yeah.
Jam just asked a question. You must hate Adam Azim ducking Smith. Listen, I've got to keep it real. Even when I like a fighter, got to be honest, I do hate it. Yeah. And it's a duck on like from two angles, because the EBU mandated Smith for Adam, and the British Boxing Board mandated Adam for Smith.
Was that for the British title?
Yeah, so there's like a two-way mandatory.
Do you know why it's tricky as well? Because it's like you skipped British and went straight to European, and like you said, if you're going to do that, you have to bear the brunt of what that comes with. And that's why it looks bad, because it would have been better if you was just patient, waited for the British. If you want to say, okay, maybe Dalton Smith is too soon, which I think that's where the issue comes in. There's no shame in just saying that from the get-go of, do you know what? It's too soon. Do I believe he'll be better? Yes. However, we want time to build. And if you just honestly, truthfully came out of that, I think it would be way more forgiven for just being like, no, not yet. Let us cook, because Dalton's had time to cook. But because he got the title and then started giving it the big one of, yeah, I'm ready for this, that, and the third, now it makes you look worse and you lose the grace that you could have had, because now people are just like, wait, aren't you the guy that was saying, A, B, and C? And then when it came down to it, it appears like your carers or you, the fighter themselves, is not up to the task. And it's unfortunate because he's quite the name. And I also don't think that Harlem Eubank should take the fight, because if I recall from his last fight, he said that will be his last one at 140. The weight cut's messing up his body. I remember he was saying even in his last fight, he was cramping up. And for me, I just feel like Harlem Eubank is kind of sacrificing himself in a way that is like, you got to act like your name's not Eubank. I mean, sorry, you got to start acting like your surname is Eubank. Like, go out and try to get a bigger fight. Like I said, I've always said that he should be calling out Conor Ben. And I just feel like this is a fight on both ends where it's just like, it's so unnecessary.
It's all over the place. And one of the cringiest things I've heard Ben Shalom saying is, oh, it's like Adam's being bullied. I'm thinking, seriously, these are professional fighters. Yeah, they punch each other in the face. I think a few verbal barbs thrown at him is, I mean, you're worrying about.
Does he actually have background in boxing, or is he like, I don't know, a savvy businessman that succeeded somewhere else, and he's kind of like a casual fan of boxing, and they're just like, yeah, why don't you handle boxer? Or was he an actual like boxing fan before this? Because it's only going to get rougher from here. And as much, sorry, go on.
He's a bit of a mystery, isn't he? Because virtually no one in the industry even knew anything about him till he got this Sky contract. It's not like some of these other small hall promoters, for example, like Johnny Clark at Top Tier or Izzy Asif running GBM, up in Sheffield. People in the industry will know him. Like they'll know, oh yeah, Izzy Asif used to be a pro boxer himself. He's probably, done various things in boxing, like working corners, helping bigger promoters out. Johnny down here in Essex, he's worked for many years as Lee Eaton's assistant. So people in the industry know, yeah. Whereas this guy, Ben Shalom, it's like no one else has seen or heard of him before. So I somewhat suspect all of this, that they're just pawns in the Cold War between Sky and DAZN.
Well, they picked the wrong pawn. I think with Ben, because I think, listen, even like Andrew Bonds said, you know, rich uncle vibes, but the same way, listen, Eddie Hearn was a silver spoon kid, self-professed silver spoon kid. One thing about Eddie, though, you cannot take away from him. One, he's got hustle, and two, that guy loves boxing. Because there are certain times when, you know, things weren't looking good for him in 2022 and 2023. And Eddie Hearn just stuck to the grind, and he was still promoting his ass off, like, you know, like he had a penny in his bank account. And I don't see that in Shalom. You see in like Frank Warren as well. There's many years that he went through downtimes, and Frank Warren is still, even though his method of promotion is different, when it came to his stars, Frank Warren was still trying to make sure, even look at Dubois, despite the losses, he's still trying to push Dubois, and with a like veracity that's letting people know that, no, this is the guy. Ben, I'll never get that feeling from him where it's just like, these guys definitely have your backing, or in a passionate way publicly anyway. It always comes across as, you know, he does the laid back thing. Yeah, we're gonna promote this fight and and it sounds like he's tired and he doesn't want to be there. And it's not a typical business where, you know how it is. You've been around many promoters. Boxing is the wild, wild west, and in order to get anything good out of this, you have to love this to the point that you're working till you hate it. And if you can't work to the point until you hate it, then good luck trying to love that. Credit to Nick Diaz.
This is why I brought you on, for some words of sage wisdom.
I'll try.
So it's fair to say, Adam, he's docked. Now, in the long term, I don't think it will have a particularly negative effect on his career over the long term. He's lucky he's only 21.
Yeah, very much so.
And as I've been making this point on social media, people have got short memories. People forgot that Tyson Fury ducked David Price. Canelo ducked Triple G. I know your boy Abbas, when I dared say that, he couldn't wait to get in on the stream. If anyone's out there, viewers, hold tight. In about 5 minutes, we're going to be inviting you to come on and give your 2 cents if you want. But yeah, Adam, long term, I don't think it will necessarily have an effect, as long as he goes on to be the fighter that his team are saying he will be. And that means he's going to have to beat the likes of Harlem impressively, and then whatever other contenders they get for him through the rest of the years. But at some point before Dalton Smith is shot, we would want to see him set that straight. But okay, that's the first doc. As I said, they're lining up. The other gent we mentioned, and another guy I like. Don't get it twisted. I'm not here hating on them, but we gotta be honest about it. What on earth is Isaac Chamberlain talking about Riley when he's already been mandated to fight another matchroom fighter, Chev Clark, who incidentally I also interviewed after the show. The interviews after Punchout Boxing. Chev Clark, he even tried to get in on the post-fight interview to tell him, hey, wait a sec, you two, shut it. You two ain't fighting next. I mean, what's that? I mean, so you know, Isaac has got the same situation as Adam Azim in some ways. He's got a mandatory for his British title from Chev Clark, and he's been mandated to fight for the European title that Sislak has. Yeah. And when I asked Isaac last time, he says, I don't want to go to Poland. All right, fair enough. You don't want to go to Poland. It's a hard place to go to. There's a great fight against Chev Clark. But he's saying he wants to make it Riley. So, I mean, what is it? These fighters, what sort of hold has Shalom got over them? That You know, this ain't how you run the sport of
Do,
boxing.
do you know what I think it is with Chamberlain? To be fair to him, he did say initially, he said the Vidal fight will not get him the money he wants for him to sidestep going for the European title. Because even when he first won his British title, my thing was forget British level, go get a European title because you've been in the game too long to not be getting more accolades. Obviously, you've made it aware now. You made me aware anyway that he's saying he doesn't want to go Poland to fight for the title because the odds could be stacked against him. Fair enough. So now I'm thinking he's maybe gone back to boxing and said, listen, make it worth my while not going for the European. And boxing might have, they might have up the money to say the Vidal fight's there if it can be built up. And I think that's maybe what they were doing. The only consequence of it now, if you go down the Vidal route, because obviously social media following, I get it, prize fire, go get your bag. Then you have to drop that British title that you lot have been, vying over, which is now going to look. Chamberlain is screwed either way in terms of public perception, I believe. Not to fault him. I'll say personally, you may feel different. I can't fault him if he goes the Vidal route because he's been in this game too long. Where it's like, do you know what? Let's start getting paid because not the end is near.
Will he get paid? I mean, yeah, I know Vidal's got that great social media presence, but as we've seen, that doesn't necessarily translate to bigger
money
purses in the pro game.
Very true.
I don't know what sort of purses Vidal's getting for fights like he had, for example, on Sunday. Is he a huge draw? I don't know, but you're right. I mean, stylistically as well, I actually think Sislak is a more winnable fight for Isaac than Riley. I think Riley stylistically is a difficult fight because I think Riley's actually real. He's not as powerful, but I think he's really skilled. And so what? You're going to drop the belt and then, I mean, would Riley even want to fight him without the belt? I can't see it happening.
I think I would see it happening only because for Riley, it's a good look to say this is the former British champion. Chamberlain in the UK at least still has a name for himself amongst the hardcores. So for him to for Riley to beat Chamberlain, it's kind of like, okay, this boy is real. And then now Sky can put more gas into him, into promoting him, because at least they know, all right, cool. Riley is at least British level. And if Riley was to beat Chamberlain, then he could go and face whoever the British champion is, whether it's Chef Clark or someone else. Then Riley might bet on himself and say, do you know what? Whoever's the British champion, I want them next. Even though me personally, so go ahead.
I was going to say, you're saying you think. Do you think that Sky favour Riley here as a bigger star?
Absolutely. To be fair, you got to remember as well, technically Chamberlain's not a boxer fighter. Chamberlain is with Hennessy Sports, but obviously he has worked well with boxer, whereas Riley, to the best of my knowledge, is part of boxer. So it'll be in Sky's interest to be back in Riley, whether they think he's ready or not yet. I don't know. However, he's up for it. If Chamberlain can get enough, they got enough promotion. I still think it's bad that they cut out the Chef Clark part because of politics, which is silly because now all you see the comments on those videos alluding to that is we want to see what happened with Chef Clark. No, don't get me wrong. The back and forth was entertaining. It was funny, but people want to see the Chef Clark moment more. And it's crazy because it seems like any evidence of that has been scrapped. Not even like crowd footage of what happened with Chef Clark. That's crazy. No one seems to have footage of this. Ben Shalom said, not right. You know what? I respect the pettiness from Ben. I respect the pettiness of Ben to be like, you are not profiting off my show. Cut the cameras.
Not only that, I mean, he's pulled some deep CIA level, going onto the internet, scrubbing all footage. I mean, there must have been some people getting
Yeah,
there.
that's what's crazy. Like none.
Nowadays you can't sort of pick your nose without someone catching it on camera. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess with all the furore over Azim, it's gone under the radar that Isaac's sort of in the same position, but not the same. As you pointed out, I guess he's not a boxer fighter.
Yeah.
I don't know, Trey, if you're able to put the link in the chat, any of our viewers want to come in, stick up for your favorite fighters, put me on blast for daring to suggest that your favorite fighters are Duck. We haven't finished with that, so stick the stream link in.
I want to say any others that you wanted to mention that were ducking.
Listen, Richard Riakporhe, he was strutting around on Sunday like he's the bee's knees. Again, did you forget? Did you think that we've forgotten that when the thought of going in against Opataya came up, what did you do? You shat it, basically. Again, you get to the mandatory position. He was mandated.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Get to the actual purse bid and then realize, oh shit, what have I let myself in for? And then Scarpa. Come on.
You don't put on Boxer more. I think Riakporhe was up for it. I think it was Boxer that kind of saw Jay Opataya and said, nah.
Yeah, maybe.
Obviously playing against Thompson.
Again,
I'm sure Shalom was somewhere like wiping the sweat off his head saying, dodge the bullet.
Maybe, but this is what I find a bit strange. I don't know what these guys' contracts say, but certainly other promoters, Eddie Hearn certainly says legally that ain't actually possible. Yeah. He's saying that legally a promoter cannot block a fighter from taking a certain fight, like if it's like in that sort of purse bid situation.
Oh.
So in a way he's probably the worst in the sense that Adam and Caroline, who also ducked Ferreira.
Well, not too much on Caroline.
Them two you can give a bit more of a pass because of their youth, and at that age they're young, they're naive, they're going to listen to their team. Fighters, they're always talking about my team, this mysterious thing, the team. Yeah, like, come on, you ain't got a mind of your own. All right, but let's put that aside. They're young, they don't know the industry, so they'll put their trust in the team. But Richard Riakporhe, you're 34. You're a mature adult man, actually in the latter part of your career. At 34, let's be real, you're in the final.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's why I'm surprised he hasn't fought for a title.
Again, not to flex, but someone inside the industry told me off the record. Big up, Jams. We'll come to you in shortly.
Big up, Ray. All right, lads.
They told me that Riakporhe didn't want it. And listen, I ain't out here acting like a tough guy. If someone told me, here's £1 million to fight Jai Opataya, I'd probably shat myself. That £1 million wouldn't, that would not stop my gut loosening. Yeah, my bowels they'd loosen. Absolutely. See what Jai Opataya does to people. Yeah, but you can't purport to be some bad man out there at the top level of the sport, and then
true.
And then ask, oh no, don't fancy it. Once you've got to that level, you know what I mean. So
I'm more surprised that he didn't go for, because my thing, there was a point where Box had all the top British cruiserweights, and it's just like you didn't make sure that all of them went for a title with who's the guy that Zerdo just beat?
Yeah,
the Frenchman that Zerdo.
Yeah.
It's like, why were none of the other fighters, and I'm sure Riakporhe was high in those rankings as well, to go for those belts?
Well, apparently the Gulamirian fight was agreed when they bottled it from Opataya.
Yeah.
But then Gulamirian couldn't go ahead with it because of some contractual dispute. So, yeah, listen, they just have not moved their chess pieces around the board correctly. Jams, big up to you. Thanks for joining us.
Love
Come on.
Jams.
My pleasure, guys, mate. And what I said earlier, Ray, about you look like you've been superimposed on a background picture. You always just look so slick, brother, honestly. You always look like you've been painted onto the background or something. You look so slick, bro, honestly.
I like that.
You really do.
I like that. I'm a masterpiece, man. What can I say?
That's it, brother. Masterpiece. I couldn't have said it better. Right, what we saying, Ra? What we talking about now?
The ducks, they're all lining up, and they, in this country, certainly, they seem mostly at the moment to be from Boxer. Who's the worst duck out of this? We've got Adam Azim, we've got Caroline Dubois, two youngsters that we're talking about. They're going to be the next big stars. They're calling out other stars. You've got Riakporhe, like I said, age 34, gets to the mandatory spot, realizes it's Opataya, decides he doesn't fancy it, wastes another year in limbo till they can persuade Lawrence Okolie to go up to Bridgerweight so he can have a go on CBS, a guy who he's already beaten. And Isaac will give him something of a pass because he ain't actually a boxer fighter. But as I said, he's got like a he's got two mandatory situations, and he seems to be ignoring them both for a Riley fight. So, I mean, just this whole ducking thing, it's like, I mean, what are these guys and girls in the sport for?
I've got no idea, mate. It's a joke, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. I wouldn't ever call Sweet Caroline a duck, though, especially not to her bloody face, because she'd knock me clean out. But the thing with Adam Azim vacating the EBU title that he worked so hard to get is just ridiculous. Yeah. Why would you do that? I don't get it unless he's scared of Dalton Smith. That's the only reason he has stepped aside. Yeah, he's got this Harlem Eubank fight, but come on, that's not the same as a Dalton Smith fight. That could have been a big boy fight in the UK. He could have made big money, made a name for himself, and became a true champion. But instead, he shit his knickers, ran off, and now we're going to have to watch the diarrhea run as he legs it off.
What do you make of this narrative Boxer trying to put out that, but they're just young, they're just babies? I think, guys, at 21, guys like Canelo were fighting Mayweather. Devin Haney was calling out Lomachenko at 21. Yeah,
I mean, with that, Ra, mate. If he's big enough to be in that ring, he's big enough to take on the challenge that comes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's in that ring. He's talking the talk, so walk the walk. You know what I mean? He's called out these guys. He called out Dalton in the past. Mm-hmm. Let's just get it on. Let's get the fight we want to see.
I think that's where it looks worse on him, because he did call out Dalton before, and he tried to imply that Dalton wouldn't be on it, and then when it came down to it, Dalton was there.
Dalton was bang for it, Ray. Bang up for it.
Yeah, and I actually agree. That they should take their time with Azim. But like I said, the issue was the fact that they appeared, at least the public perception, it appeared that you was calling him out before. So don't then, when the opportunity comes out, say, oh, he's too young, when you was talking the talk before. So then now it's time to walk the walk. It looks bad on you.
It does.
No matter how much the good logic is there.
Is it the matchmakers, though? Are they ruining him? You know what I mean? Are the matchmakers talking for him and spoiling Adam Azim's reputation by saying, yeah, he wants to fight, but then when it comes to it, it doesn't come to fruition. So it looks like Azim's ducking, but is it his team actually not doing it because they don't make paper?
Mm. Well, so I'm sure you'll agree, in the case of Azim and Caroline, and incidentally, what you said about not saying it to them, the only reason I got the balls to say this on camera is because I know none of those four people are ever going to be watching this show. Yeah,
and you've got your hood up and your glasses on, Rosie.
I've got disguise on as well, so I've got plausible deniability.
Please also disclaimer: the words of Ra or of Ra. I don't want no beef with no one if they see.
No, come only.
Look, Ando's making a really good point. This is the thing. Adam Azim said, I want to become the youngest world champion. I presume he means British world champion. He wanted to beat Naz Hamed's record. A couple of guys have said they want to do that over at Queensbury. Both Royston Barney Smith and Moses Atulma have both said that. All right, we'll see how that they get on when the time comes. But if that was your stated ambition, then winning the European title and then defending against a mandatory is absolutely the sort of path a youngest world champion is going to have to take. Because at 140, there are guys way, way more dangerous than Dalton Smith. Yeah. So if you are ever going to be a world champion at 140, you've got to be able to beat a Dalton Smith, because 140 is not going to get easier either. It's not like welterweight where you can think, oh, just wait for Crawford to to move up or retire, and then the landscape's a bit safer. Yeah, it's not like that. The next crop of people coming up from lightweight and the next crop of prospects, they're going to be as good,
or better.
147. So yeah, when you're talking like that and you've got these aspirations, you've got to take the necessary steps. But like I said, we can give the youngsters maybe a bit more of a pass because they've got plenty of time to redeem their careers. But what do you think about guys like, Riakporhe, 34, wasted another year hoping the coast will be clear,
Oh my! Do you know what makes me laugh? It's always the emphasis on the 34 part.
Do you not see my point? It's like you're going to run out of time before you get a favourable opportunity.
You've got to take them while they're there, aren't you? Right? While they're there, Ray. You've got to take them, mate. And
no, I understand.
Be jumping on any chance he gets now for a decent, meaningful fight.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
He needs to just get in there and get a decent level operator in there with him and prove what he's worth. If he's worth it, he'll win. If he's not, he'll disappear into the distance like the rest of them.
Yeah, true. And I felt, because for me, I felt like they should have been building CBS more, because even, obviously, it looks like they're feeding CBS to Richard Riakporhe. I feel like there was still more to do to build off with CBS as a champion before they made this fight. But now they've put themselves in a corner where instead of gathering the different belts and unifying in Britain, which I thought initially was the plan, now they've got the one belt in Britain that they're trying to do merry-go-round within their own camp. It's just like, why has it been set up like that? That's so confusing. Like, why?
Again, I think isn't it a matter of they moved their chess pieces incorrectly?
Yeah.
They've burned bridges with too many people. Now DAZN have got two of the belts effectively, presuming Opataya deals with Breedis again.
Yeah.
Because, Zurdo Ramirez, someone like him, I mean, let's be real, at the top level, he's going to be basically just a big punch bag for someone like Opataya.
Yeah.
And he'd have been a punch bag for CBS or Riakporhe, but that belt's off limits now. There's no way DAZN are going to let him come over.
How do you lads rate CBS, Chris Smith? How do you rate him? Do you think he's a really good operator, or do you think he's mid to top British level? Because I'm not sold on him yet. I'm not sold on him.
He's not as low as British level. He is.
Yeah, he's above British level for sure.
Yeah,
he is a legit world champion, but
just maybe not.
You know what? I would say he's better than Zurdo.
I think Opataya takes him out in one round.
Yeah, but to be fair,
everyone's
do that to most cruiserweights.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
tell you what I'd love, lads. Sorry to keep interrupting, but I tell you what I would love Usyk after he beats Fury for Opataya to move up and fight Usyk at heavyweight.
That fight is insane.
For me, that tell y'all.
That is Opataya. Absolutely is probably.
You guys are bloodthirsty.
That has got to be one of the highest level fights that can be made in the game. I don't think it'll happen. I think Optai has already said he has a lot of food on the table at cruiserweight that he wants to deal with. And you got to remember, he's nearly 10 years younger than Usyk. So I think if Usyk ducked that smoke, I'd give him a pass.
Of course, yeah.
At this point in his career, at 37, after what he's done, if he beats Fury, which I expect him to do, if he then wants maybe a third one with AJ as his final big payday or whatever, or if he just wants to retire, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well,
I prefer that. I prefer that.
What do you think? What do you think to Justice Hooney as well? Just before you carry on, mate. Sorry. What do you think to Justice Hooney, the Australian? What do you think to him, Justice Hooney?
I'll be honest with you.
Go on, Ray. You give your view.
No. I was saying I'm not too familiar. I'll be honest with you.
He's a training partner. He's a real good operator, mate. He looks a real good prospect.
Very skilled, but there's going to be question marks. But I want to emphasize they're just question marks. I don't write a fighter off based on one bad performance, just as I don't get too excited based on one good performance. So yeah, maybe Lorena. Let's be honest, he was coming in off the bereavement of his mother. Might have just put up the fight of his life. Might have just been a stylistic problem. I can absolutely see Justice giving big lumbering heavyweights fits.
Definitely.
So yeah, let's see how he gets on. I just want to go on to the last duck, and this is a really sophisticated one. Yeah, our producer Trey's put it in there. Fundora. And this is another, like you said, Ray, a merry-go-round. It is.
Wait.
Let
me let you land this. I'm confused. Where's the duck? But go on.
You know, it's a duck in the sense like, you know, when a guy, you get yourself involved with too many chicks, and then one of them wants you to commit to her, but then you've been stringing this other one along, and you don't know how to dump her. And you're in some almighty menage a trois.
I won't say I can relate, but I get the theory. But go on.
Fundora, apparently PBC want to feed Spence to him, or is it the other way around? I don't know. Yeah, we saw Spence get in there and says he's going to get the winner, and Ellaby says, yeah, you know what? Spence is our guy. Of course, we're going to give him priority. Then we've got Crawford activating his super champ status at welterweight to become mandatory at the weight above for one of the belts. So now Fundora's got to fight Crawford within 120 days. But then apparently him and Zoo had a verbal agreement that will give you a rematch.
That means nothing.
I've spoken to his manager. He definitely has. And and Tom Levkowicz, or whatever his name is, I can't pronounce the name right. He's confirmed that he is going to honour that agreement if they allow him to fight, because he's got a 6-month can't fight ban for his nose injury.
Okay, so is this this verbal agreement, is that just a way of avoiding getting like brutally analysed by Crawford?
Analysed, I like the terminology there.
We know that we are after the watershed, so we can use colourful language. We know Jamel Charlo, he knew what he was going to get, so he got himself put in prison. Like I said, whatever they're doing to his a-hole in prison, it's less painful than what
my goodness
to him in the ring. That's why Jamel disappeared. Now Fundora's realised, oh, this has put me back in the firing line. So yeah, it's Fundora. Is he ducking by calling in PBC rank to let him get the leftovers, the shell of Spence, or this verbal agreement? Like in boxing, people ever care about honor or anything? Does he just actually want to avoid getting that Crawford smoke?
I think yes and no. I feel like he'll face Crawford if he needs to, but I also feel like it's a case of if there's more money in fighting Spence, go fight Spence. And I agree. For me, I would say, I know Trey was upset about this, but I would say there's a very short window for Fundora to get money because many people may not believe he's a world beater. However, he can maybe drop the WBO belt, let Crawford go for that, and go face Spence. Was it Dallas Cowboy Stadium?
AT&T Stadium.
AT&T Stadium. Go make a big fight there. Go get paid. And if you beat Spence, better. If you lose to Spence, you got good money in a big pay-per-view fight. Spence still has a bit of juice left of him in the game. And I feel like, if anything, this is the best time to face Spence, because if it's true that he split from Derek James, he might be in no man's land, and it might be the best time to face Spence, whereas Crawford, the most dangerous he's ever been, and it might be a case of stay out of Crawford's way and let me just get my money here, and I'll come and unify against Crawford after I've beaten Spence.
James, what do you think? Which fight for Fundora is not a duck? Because, as we said, Crawford can do unholy things and he's mandated. We've just talked about for the past hour how important the mandatory system is to keep competition going in the sport. Crawford's mandated, but then Zoo is the guy who he was fortunate to beat because of that.
Shouldn't have even taken that fight.
Which should have made the fight go to what the scorecards, early.
Round 3, and it would have been a no contest.
Yeah. So in that sense, Fundora either owes his mandatory his shot, or the guy who he shouldn't have beaten a rematch. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with it, mate.
A duck.
I wouldn't call it a duck because Fundora, he will fight anybody. He was meant to be fighting Sir High Boachuk anyway. Boachuk then went and beat Brian Mendoza, who knocked out Fundora in his last fight. So it's all swings and roundabouts here. If anything, I think Boachuk deserves a shot at Fundora now. He won. He was supposed to be in that fight to get to the title against Tim Tszyu, who they assumed would win. Fundora has now beat Tszyu, so now Boachuk should surely step in and get that fight. But there's a verbal agreement between the two of Tszyu and Fundora that they're going to fight each other. So I'm assuming that's going to happen, but it's going to be in about 9 months' time, as Fundora can't fight for 6 months. Tszyu can't fight for 4 months because of injuries they both suffered in the fight. So it's going to be a long time before it happens. And that's basically where I'm going, mate. So I don't think anyone's ducking anyone. But I think, personally, Sir High Boachuk deserves a chance at Fundora. That was the original fight. It was for the chance to fight the winner of the Tszyu Mendoza. So let's get that fight on and see real champions fight it out. Boachuk's 25, 24 wins, 24 knockouts. Let's see him in there with him.
Dan, I'll take it back.
Making good points. He's making good points.
This is a full-on gangbang. I mean, how many more guys are in? I mean, would you say it's actually a beautiful chaos if we can get all these fights going? Because post Jamel Charlo, 154 is one of the hottest divisions, but it needs, by the looks of it, a tournament to settle things. Because as you said, there's close to half a dozen guys there with legit claims to various titles or of sorts. What do you reckon, Ray?
I think I would, in an ideal world for me, Fundora, go take the Errol Spence fight. Go get paid, drop the WBO belt, stay out of Crawford's way, unify with Crawford at a later stage. Definitely unify with Crawford at a later stage. If there's hopefully should be money in that. But right now, with PBC looking to put money behind, getting their brand up, I'd say definitely go for the Errol Spence fight. Because if you can, listen, AT&T Stadium, that sounds sweet. WBC title as well. Errol Spence last hurrah to see if he still got some juice left in the tank. Fundora can put on a show and show him that's the new guard. And I feel like with the WBO, the Crawford fight is there. And what I'm presuming might go Omaha. But I think, yeah, it just needs to make the decision quickly, because if you're not going to fight Crawford, please let the belt go, because I also want Crawford to get a fight in before, he's getting older as well. I don't want Crawford to be waiting too long, like he had to wait for Spence and other big fights. Let Crawford go on like how he needs to do if you do not want to take that fight. So I think they're going to call the purse bid soon. And if you don't want that fight, drop the belt and take that Errol Spence fight. As for Tim Tszyu, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to, he's probably going to have to get to the back of the line.
Listen, to be fair, he's going to be stripped, isn't he? He's going to be stripped.
There's no money in that rematch. That gentleman's clause that they got right there, there's no money in it. And, maybe I think Fundora might be feeling like, you know what? If I keep all my belts after all these 2-3 fights, then you can get a rematch. But in the reality of things, Tim Tszyu either go for another belt, or you're gonna have to be patient and fight your way to the top again.
The problem is, though, Ray, is what it was, mate. When they thought Tim Tszyu was going to beat Fundora, they assumed he was going to win. They mandated Terence Crawford to fight the winner. He'd had to be settled within 5 days and fought within 180. Now Fundora's won. That means Fundora has to fight Bud, and it should have been arranged already. And
is that 5-day stipulation still there then?
Well, that's what they said at the time. I'm not sure if it's still true now. And it had to be fought within 180 days, which is 6 months, which is how long Fundora cannot fight for. So Fundora's going to be stripped to the title. And it's going to be given to Bud to fight somebody else.
And who's ranked number 1? Our own Josh Kelly, who
that's what they're saying. Bud against
on our own
Pretty Boy
chat.
Kelly.
You said that counts as only half a fight for Bud, which
Bud will wipe him out in a couple of rounds.
But listen, all respect to Josh Kelly.
He's a tough guy, but come on, it's levels, man. Bud is the best in the world up there with Inoue. You know what I mean? You don't put Josh Kelly in that category. I'm sorry.
And there's a lot of people that are even expecting Crawford to come to the UK. I'm like, no disrespect, Kelly is not a big enough draw to make Crawford come to the UK. That is a big homecoming fight.
Stadium alight?
No, ain't no packing out the stadium of like. Do you know what? If Kelly had momentum, then fair enough. But Crawford is probably going to see the places that Kelly's been fighting, in no disrespect, and say, you haven't even been packing out the arenas in your own backyard to make me want to come to the UK. He's going to make him do a big homecoming in Omaha. And I think that's what, if Crawford wants that is deserved. Take that big fight to your home city and, have a big celebration there.
Bud calls the shots, Ray. Bud calls the shots. He's the boss, man. Rightly so. He's earned the right to be the boss.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I would not be surprised, given what the governing bodies are like, if we see Tim Tszyu mandated to fight Bud Crawford for the vacated WBO belt. And what a fight that would be, well worthy of Bud Crawford's skills, I think. But gents,
sorry for Tim Tszyu.
It is midnight. I think I do have to go to work tomorrow, even though I only pretend to work. But pretending to work still takes.
Let me jump out. I'll let you lads finish your show. Thanks, Ray. Nice to meet you, man.
Likewise, man. Take care of yourself.
You lads take care now.
We'll see you next week, I hope. Ray, thank you for filling in, saving the show.
All good.
I needed your stern presence. Yeah.
I'll try, man. Ricco get well soon, and
get well to Ricco.
I know I had to substitute in for an hour, but be looking forward to next week when Ricco is back.
Yeah, we will hope to have him back. It's been great fun. Anything you want to add?
Listen, people, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, iBoxingHub. Tune in for the different shows, different daily shows. You already know what it is. Different opinions, but here for the same cause. So tune in, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Send through to your friends, send through to your cousins, send through to your uncles and aunties that's giving you the WhatsApp chain link messages. So whenever they give you a chain link message, you send them iBoxingHub YouTube page right back.
Ray, thank you so much for that. Thanks for being a great co-host, and
Love as always, man. Much
forward to your next
appreciated.
show. Trey, let's call it a night. Good night, everyone.
Peace.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now with your bag it up. I start my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flicks me a bag it up.